Okay, now it says I've gone live. That was a weird delay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another political recap stream here on the Moisky Live channel. I wish I should say the T sometime in that. Joining me as always for a roundup of Oh Boy is Trups LP. Say hello, Trups LP.
Hello, Trups LP. I don't know what Ho Boy is, but we are going to definitely round it up.
It's more. I'm well aware of what's happened this week. Oh dear. How is Trups LP?
Trups LP is okay.
How's Trups LP's week been?
I've been going to work. That's about it, man. I'm not that exciting.
I don't know what to say to that.
Yeah, that's about it. Like my week has been just watching.
Yeah.
Watching and going to work. Intentionally stirring the pot. I do that a lot.
You do. He's very kind enough to send it to me as well, so it's quite nice to.
Yeah, I thought you might appreciate it.
I thought that was quite. Yeah, actually, I quite enjoy that. It's interesting how quickly people go 0 to 100, then back to 0 again when they realise they can't use certain pejoratives.
Or they, not even that. It's just, when people go out on a limb and try to, hit you with one of those, like, ooh, I got him because I assume that he is against this. And then I'm just like, actually,
yeah,
I'm totally fine with that. And they're like, oh, well, that's awkward.
Yeah, I now need to think of something else. Give me a moment.
Right. I'll let you get back to you, hon.
Yeah,
you get back to me when you figure it out.
Yeah. Truer words, I guess. I'm fine very much. Thank you for asking. It's been a 50-50 week. I'll explain the negative perhaps after the stream.
Hey, actually, that reminds me of something. As you have just said that, I'm going to put a link in the chat real quick. Once I find it again.
It's not Streamlabs, is it? Because it won't work.
No, it's your GoFundMe.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much, by the way. I saw you donated. That was very kind of you.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the link to it right now. Apparently,
it's on my Twitter as a pinned comment.
Cool, that'll work.
Yeah.
I'm gonna place it in the thing for everybody, and I would really appreciate it if you would all go there, either share that link or donate if you can. Instead of donating to us on Streamlabs or in Super Chats, send your money there this time.
Thank you.
That would make me very happy, and I know it would make Meg very happy.
It would indeed. It takes a burden off one of... Look at the chat. Yeah.
Wow.
That's... I told you Streamlabs didn't work. I didn't know it'd be GoFundMe as well. Do tiny URL instead.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, that was too amusing. It takes a burden off one of my sisters, so that's great. I know we're very close to hitting target, and it takes a while to get to me. Withdrawing it wise, because they do it in increments. So I start receiving around the 30th. So as soon as we start receiving, we can then plan when we want to.
Yeah, there goes Karma's too.
No, yours gone. Yours gone as well. All right. Okay, just go to my Twitter.
Can I link a Twitter?
I'll link the tweet and see what happens, shall we?
Oh yeah. Just want to point out, this means that Google doesn't want to save puppies.
Yes, Google. Well done. For those who hear this on Spotify and my cackling, I have a GoFundMe. And Google moderator team is deleting it on YouTube, which is amusing me to no end. Apparently, they don't like it at all. But all right.
The tweet's still alive, so
The tweet is alive, so if you are willing to help, we are very close to hitting target anyway. But any help, extra or other, is always appreciated and will go towards helping as best as one can. We won't be booking her in anyway until that has been received, so that won't be until early May. She's okay at the moment. She's eating, but the thing is not healing, so she does have to go at some point. It's not sealing. It's not stopping. It's still weeping, and there's a lump. And this, it's a concern.
we'll put it in a pinned comment when this finally goes live.
Yes, we
goes to
will.
a recorded version.
We definitely will. I might cut out all this me cackling bit because it's really strange. I might not. Nah, I won't. It's too much effort.
But anyway, I know that was a tangent, but I really wanted to get that early in the stream, and I'll probably reiterate it a little bit later, just because help the puppy out, man.
Yeah, we don't harm the puppies here.
Right, exactly. Anyway, but yes, so we've had a couple of interesting stories over in the America this past week. I don't know necessarily where to start because a lot of them kind of centralize around the same thing.
Well, if you want, I could do something from the United Kingdom.
Oh, please. Would love that.
Oh, let me just... Oh, my knuckles. I cracked them half an hour ago. They're not going to crack now. Damn it. So, former Prime Minister advisor Dominic Cummings. I think everyone's heard of him. He has become universally loathed because people think he was the one running the government when Boris was ill and, well, when Boris was in charge, but when he was there as well, i.e. Dominic Cummings. Dominic Cummings, after a while, did in fact leave number 10. Now, that was because of an internal power struggle with what many believe to be Carrie Symonds, Boris's partner, who should not, at any point, be involved in anything related to the Conservative politics. Because she's not a politician. Simple rule. Well, Dominic Cummings has created a blog on WordPress called DominicCummings.com. I'm going to link it in the chat if it will allow me. This will be interesting. And Puppies donated $5. Smash like for us. Google, you are evil. You are indeed evil, Google. That's very kind of you. Yeah. So, blog is in the chat. Dominic Cummings releases a bunch of statements. The more recent one, though, is shots at the government, because he'd made some accusations within the blog about what Boris had been doing, and those accusations have kind of gotten some traction. I mean, they're nowhere near as cringe as Boris saying that the politically correct Green Act of bunny hugging was an issue, and was not as important as growth and jobs, which he's got a point, but understandably everyone cringed and have mocked him. So Dominic Cummings attacked Boris's competence and integrity. He has had to prove and deny leaking texts between the Prime Minister and a man called Sir James Dyson. I'm sure you've heard of Dyson the Hoover.
I was going to say, did he make vacuums?
He's that guy. He is that exact guy. He's a guy who was pro-Brexit, but when it happened, he left the UK because jobs. He also denied leaking details of the second COVID lockdown. Now, Dominic Cummings within the blog, which is in the chat, he has said quite clearly he is not going to be doing a press briefing on these issues. Instead, he is going to wait till May 26th, where he will address Parliament directly with MPs questioning him. Which I think is a reasonable thing to do. People at best can then just guess what's going on. So, some of the key points. With regards to Dyson, he did say, I do have some WhatsApp messages between the Prime Minister and Dyson that were forwarded to him by the Prime Minister. He did not find the ones that were leaked to Laura Kuenssberg on his phone, nor is he aware of being sent them last year, but he will give his phone up so that can be confirmed.
Kuenssberg.
I don't even know how you pronounce it. It's Kuenn.
Oh no, it's just like what an awful name.
Kuenssberg. I'm guessing. Let's call it Q-tip.
Sure.
Second, lockdown. There was a meeting between the Prime Minister, the Cabinet Secretary, the Director of Communications, and Dominic Cummings regarding the leak of the decision for a further lockdown on Friday, immediately after the meeting in the Cabinet room that made the decision, known in the media as the Chatty Rat story. This was in reference to the fact that a mole had leaked it, but it wasn't Dominic Cummings. In fact,
damn mole.
Yeah. So no one actually knows who the leaker is. That's caused issues because people accuse Dominic Cummings of being the mole, which he can also debunk. His blog does go into this quite well, in fact. The third one is one that actually many people got cross with, and it was how much it cost to renovate the flat that the Prime Minister resides in above number 10. So there were accusations that the Prime Minister took money, but he didn't declare it. Now, the government has said that they did declare it. It is a contentious point. There is an argument of breach of ministerial code here as well, by the way, and it's also possibly, along with being unethical, a little illegal if the donors paid for it secretly, because that flat renovation cost hundreds of thousands. It's a poxy flat. No one spends that much money doing up a flat. Honestly. And the worst part is, it's like doing up the White House. It really doesn't need doing. It's a waste of money. It's not a symbol. It's you saying, I just don't like the person who is here before me. Alright, cool. The last one, Dominic Cummings made an offer to hand over some of the private text messages, even though he is under no legal obligation to do so, because claims were made officially by Number 10 today, particularly the COVID leak, which caused serious harm to millions. So he has also stated this doesn't mean he will answer every allegation that is made by Number 10. And the proper way to do so is via an urgent parliamentary inquiry into the government's conduct over the COVID crisis, I guess, which ought to take evidence from all key players under oath, along with having access to all necessary documentation. And he will work with them on that, happily. Not the press. Screw the press. Which I fully agree with in this context. It has to be investigated.
Same. Not even my country, but same.
Because they'll just spin it. That's what they do. And this needs to be straight up investigated. Because
with a washing machine, no less.
Yeah. And there's a lot of it to go through. There's a lot to go through. And I was reading a couple of his blog posts. There was one on hiring data scientists, policy experts, and other assorted, air quotes, weirdos. And he just flays the Conservative government in this. But he goes into other issues as well. Other more interesting societal issues. And I found that quite fascinating. I might encourage others to read it. It's quite long. Yes. That's about it, really. I mean, the Conservatives have responded little to this. When it came to the blog as a whole, Number 10 said, "This government is entirely focused on fighting coronavirus."
Are they? Are you sure?
In response to a question on the blog existing, that was their answer.
Does this exist? We fight coronavirus. Oh, okay, thanks.
They did directly answer something. Thank you. Wild donated £5 for Whoopsie's G-string.
Oh wow, thanks.
Yep, that was appreciated. I'll
Yeah, we'll put a G-string on a shadow creature. I'm sure it'll work out great.
I'd plug that. Regarding the claim that Boris Johnson discussed dropping a leak inquiry, the answer was the Prime Minister has never interfered in a government leak inquiry. Again, not quite understanding the question, but all right. And the other one was the only other thing they commented on was the number 11 flat, which is where the Prime Minister resides. It's a bigger apartment than number 10, so the Chancellor of the Exchequer lives in number 10. Or is it the Foreign Secretary in this context? They don't have a deputy. Who's number 2? I think it is the Foreign Secretary, actually. Or is it? I can't remember. It doesn't matter. Actually, in retrospect, there's no way Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor, would live there. The guy's married to a billionaire. He is never going to live in a pokey flat. Oh, dear. They claim everything was above board with the flat. And that's
most people do, especially when they're corrupt politicians.
Yeah, it's unsurprising.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Blowjob. Gotcha. Apparently, that's not
by
sexual
the way,
relations.
If you don't follow Juanita Broderick on Twitter, you should.
I may have to go follow him. I may have to go follow him.
Because oh my god, she is brutal.
Is she?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was the person who had gotten into that issue with Bill Clinton, and she is a we'll call it outspoken Republican, and my god. She pulls no punches, because at this point she has passed the potential for Arkansas, and she is great.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I'll be sure to check her out as soon as I can after the stream. Then.
Yeah.
Thank you for the recommendation. Okay, well I'm done with this already, because this only occurred. I only saw this evening, and my first thought was, this is interesting. I was considering a video for Monday on it. Then I realised I really don't want to do a video on this, because it would take me forever to make it.
Mm-hmm.
To be better than just naturally and organically speaking, as opposed to writing notes. I'm too lazy, apparently. So, where would Trups like to start in America?
Okay, so, I feel like the Chauvin thing is almost, at this point, a little, I don't want to say dated, but there is something else that has taken hold of the news that is related, but so let me actually jump straight into the actual Chauvin trial coverage, because there is fallout from it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to stack on top of it. So this past week, the jury had reached a verdict after 10 hours of deliberation and found Derek Chauvin guilty on all accounts. So that was second and third degree murder, and was it second or third degree manslaughter? Don't remember, but manslaughter in not the first degree. And so he is currently actually starting already his sentence. Already started to serving, went to prison. And he has the potential now to bring an appeal for himself. Okay, so the appeal situation is for many reasons. Okay, so there were other shootings that had happened during this trial may have caused issues with the deliberations, tainting the jury. The jury was the judge had told the jury that they weren't going to be sequestered, which basically means cut off from the media, so that they didn't know what else was going on around them. And so we have a couple of issues that happened. First one, Dante Wright. Okay, so this is a guy who had a warrant out for his arrest that basically had tried to he was getting passed to a female officer, um, while basically being in the control of a larger male officer. And as he was being handed to the female officer, he tried to break free, get back into his car, and then drive away. At this point, the police officer draws their weapon. I believe we talked about it last week, but draws their weapon, points it at the person, um, saying "taser, taser," not holding a taser, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
and then ends up shooting Dante Wright, and that was all she wrote.
Yeah.
People were freaking out about that and flipping out. This happened specifically. This happened in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, not too far from Hennepin County, where they were doing the Chauvin trial. In fact, one of the jurors allegedly actually lives in Brooklyn Center and had to drive past the boarded up areas to get to jury duty. Okay, so that happened. During in the aftermath of the Dante Wright shooting, there were small scale protests and mostly peaceful fire. As they do, mostly peaceful fire. That definitely would make some people uncomfortable at best. But one of the more critical pieces to why this is related is that as the jury had gotten closer to their verdict, the concentration of people around the Hennepin County court, it started to go up in volume and up in, we'll call it intensity. So much so that apparently Maxine Waters decided that it would be a wise decision for them to show up at one of these mostly peaceful protests and tell the people that if they don't get a guilty murder verdict, that the protesters need to get more confrontational and get more in the face of those in charge.
Which interestingly led to the House, a Republican bringing forth a bill, a censure even, on Maxine Waters, and it failed by 216 to 210, which, if anyone hasn't realised, means not only did they just blindly vote party lines, maybe they didn't, but you know what I mean.
No, they did. That is exactly down party lines,
right?
In fact.
But also, they have just agreed and legitimised what she said.
Mm-hmm. Which was that the House agrees that if they don't get what they want, they can use the power of the mob to frighten and otherwise intimidate jurors.
Yeah.
Now, that is, of course, not literally what was said, but when a juror comes out and says that they were, in fact, scared for their lives, then yeah, you have a major problem on your hands. One in particular that has to do with your inability to properly handle your jurors so that they can have a the like button donated £3. So lonely. Gibbs love now.
I like that at the start you asked people to go somewhere else and they all ignored you anyway.
That's fine. I don't care.
Dicks.
So the House basically said, yeah, that's fine. We accept that and we allow that to happen. And then Maxine Waters goes on like MSNBC and shit and starts talking about how the Republicans love to target her. It's sexism and racism, really, that they target, the loud voice calling for insurrection. And I say that because one person said, calmly and peacefully let your voices be heard, and they called that insurrection. But the other person says, hey, why don't you go to and get more confrontational? Bear in mind, this was the person who literally said, if you see them, make a crowd.
Yep.
You get in their face and you make a crowd wherever you find them. Yeah, that was her too.
Not a good look, is it?
No, it's not. It's definitely not a good look. And it's I want to say so bad that it's shocking, but it's not. It's not shocking. It's the same thing that we always knew was going to happen because
rather interestingly, the president also was adamant it was a guilty verdict. I'm sat here like, if the jury hear you say that, come on. He should never have spoken until the verdict was given. But he had to open his mouth.
When the president makes his voice heard on a situation that is currently under under trial, Tommy Robinson was arrested for less.
Also,
and this was a comment that I had made during my stint of stirring the pot.
Yeah, it's one of those very fascinating things to me because that's one of the few times I heard Biden speak this week. Every other time I saw anyone near him speaking, it was actually his VP. She's the one who's been meeting like Japanese prime minister and all that, because he can't be asked to do any of that.
Apparently,
that's interesting.
You know, it makes you wonder who's actually in charge, but whatever.
Oh, I know who's in charge.
Oh yeah, well we all do, sadly. But no, yeah, this is a real issue that we are facing at the time because you had members of Congress, you had the president, both saying that they have their opinions on the trial. You have a highly polarized, divided nation. And you have the highly political nature of this case in particular, which has led to, as so aptly put, the Summer of Love, which was said last year about the protests.
Right.
Yeah, you've got a whole mess of compounding factors that would make a juror vote in fear. So... And the judge admitted this, that the comments made by Maxine Waters gave them opportunity to appeal.
I'd argue there are other aspects that could be argued for appeal anyway, and that would include, as you earlier referenced, the shooting of Dante Wright. Because if the jury heard any of that, then that influences them as well.
Oh, absolutely. And it is it's the worst kind of influence because it's all intimidation, like all of it.
Yes.
Right. So so this is where we are currently standing, just on the Chauvin trial. This is just Chauvin, right? Now, afterwards, and I've started seeing these posts more and more. People are saying things like, okay, well, remember that Chauvin was one white guy who went down for the system as a scapegoat, so that people forget that is the system that caused this. And I was like, bullshit. You people were the ones who called for his, his incarceration. No, you never were like after the system. You wanted Chauvin's blood.
Whoopsie G-String, thank you for the £2 donation. Money, money, money.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Whoopsie G-String.
Yes, of course. My G-string is very what's the word?
Tainted.
No, but okay. No, but okay. So after this, right? So Chauvin is now in prison, and people are dealing with this. Okay, like the next day, right? Micaiah and Columbus, Ohio happens. Okay.
Oh,
So
hang on, that was the 16-year-old who the mother said was
yeah,
who promoted peace, that her daughter did. Her daughter promoted peace. All right, carry on.
yeah, with a knife. With an actual knife.
Okay, so the context is she was having a fight. She had a knife in her hand. It was seen on the body cam footage that was released by the police. You can see the knife. I'm sorry, what daughter promotes peace with a knife?
Foster, by the way. Foster parent.
That's like treating cancer with cancer. Honestly,
Yes.
I just
So,
I had to admit when I watched Sinatra tweeting about this, because he was the first one I saw, and my first thought was, there are so many stupid things happening this week. I can't put these on the main channel. I would get demonetized so fast.
yes, you would.
It's okay though. I have to remove remove ads on these streams now. These streams will no longer be monetized after the stream. I'm sick of all the ads you guys get that I never get paid for. But yeah, it does. But I'm happy to pay that price. I don't care. I don't want you guys, the viewers, getting stupid numbers of ads. It's not like we're a pro Spotify podcaster either, where I can do an ad every 10 minutes because someone has paid me to do the ad during the show. It's not like that, and I'm not doing that. But the Micaiah's mother has been giving interviews since this, and all of them
Constant ones.
portraying her daughter as a martyr. My view, by the way, I'm sorry, I can tell you, if anyone's been through grief of losing someone, immediate family, like the closest knit part of your family, right? No one responds like that. No one. Okay?
Real people, like normal people, shut up and say, "Leave me alone."
Right. I honestly, and it's relatable.
Yeah, no, I get it. I feel you. Like,
But this is
I wouldn't want people to bother me either.
You've just taken your daughter, you've made some claims because of how your perspective is skewed, and you're giving some really shitty comments. By the way, I did want to quickly go back to the Chauvin thing, because there was something you might have forgotten.
Oh, I probably did.
Nancy Pelosi.
Oh my fucking god. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Okay. Hold on. I need to get the exact fucking quote.
Hey, I've got the videos in our tab.
Oh yeah. No, I need it written, man.
I
need it written so I can regurgitate this.
If you, the viewer, while he does this and preps it, and he'll tell me when he's ready, if you, the viewer, have not heard what Nancy Pelosi said after the trial, brace yourselves. It's that time of year again.
My god.
Oh, it honestly, let me see if I can get it for you. What did Pelosi say? I might give Chauvin. Honestly, it is so absolutely cringe. Oh, is it written down somewhere? Oh, hang on,
Well,
I've got it.
Okay.
Yep, here you go. It's actually just after the first paragraph.
Okay, good. Let me go through. Let me get that.
You good?
Yep. Perfect.
Take it away, Trups.
Okay. It's playing the video. Hold on. Okay. It says, "Thank you, George Floyd, for sacrificing your life for justice. For being there to call out to your mom. How heartbreaking was that? And because of you, your name will always be synonymous with justice." Bruh. Okay, when she said that, for being there to call out to your mom, how heartbreaking was that? It was the most non-committed fucking statement I have ever heard in my life. It was as if it was just like, oh, bless your heart. Oh my God, look how, oh, it's trying so hard. Look, the puppy can't walk straight. Oh, it was so not even tone deaf, which is how it's described in this article, but just absolutely I'm just gonna call it rude. Honestly, it was just rude.
Expect
rude,
Expect a national day for George Floyd now.
Oh,
Oh, by the way, since this happened, she has been accused of use. It's so I'll read someone's tweet. Pelosi thanking George Floyd for his air quotes sacrifice continues the tradition of white people in power seeing us as black pawns in their ivory chessboards. George Floyd's life mattered before he was murdered. So, since this, Pelosi has issued a Twitter statement clarifying things, where she said the following: George Floyd should be alive today. His family's calls for justice for his murder were heard around the world. He did not die in vain. We must make sure other families don't suffer the same racism, violence, and pain, and we must enact the George Floyd #Justice in Policing Act. I'm assuming we're also going to do something about fentanyl.
I hope so. Honestly. like as a sidebar, yeah, please.
I'm just being a dick.
I just found out recently that okay, pop news and like media news, I watched The Masked Singer. And I've been watching it with my fiance and it's really great. Somebody who was revealed recently was talking about their children, and I didn't know that they had a child who had died at 29 years old, and one of the reasons that he died was due to fentanyl and cocaine and alcohol abuse.
Ooh.
So I felt like horrible, like A, because I didn't know, and B, because, oh no, that's terrible.
It is.
Like, I would hate for anybody to feel that. Man, you have to bury your kid, man. That sucks.
That does suck, and I fully, that's not good.
I don't even know how to necessarily like approach that subject with any level of like knowledge, because I will never know. I hope to never know, and I hope that no one ever has to know that, because that's awful. But realistically, God, that was so sad. And to find out that fentanyl even struck that level, so this is both rich and poor at this point. That's a major problem, and we need to do what we can, any of us, all of us, to fix that problem.
Yeah.
I think that's just me. If you disagree, that's fine. Whatever.
I just noticed someone. Oh, hang on. That name in the chat. Fuck. Above my
I see it. Yeah.
All right, that's for those who are listening to this on Spotify. You don't need to know. All right. Good choice of. It's an edgy boy one. I'll give you that.
Truly.
So, my view on Pelosi's comment is, her follow up though. It's equally tone deaf. You don't understand how bad your comment was. All you had to be honest, no one ever forgives anyone for saying sorry. But if she had said, "I'm sorry for the tone deaf choice of words," perhaps this wouldn't have been taken so badly. But then again, at the moment, the Democrats are seen as untouchable in your country. They're not getting as much bad press. Although I will give them this, at least CNN had the decency to call this out, but that's only because there are no Republicans in power for them to bleat on about repetitively for 4 years.
Not right now, there's not.
Well, we'll see what happens over the next, next 3 years, and see what happens when whoever it is steps up. Could be interesting. So the other stabbing that led to a shooting, did the police act because the girl went to attack another girl, or go to attack a police officer?
Okay, so this guy gets onto the scene, right? He's there for maybe 10 fucking seconds.
Yeah.
And he's yelling, he's shouting, put it down, stop, do this, do that, stop doing. And this girl is going absolutely ape. Absolutely crazy, like throwing one person to the ground, then shoving this other girl against a car, and He's literally yelling, "Stop, stop, stop." And she is mid-swing, like going for the gut of this other girl when the cop shoots. He might have had like 5 seconds realistically to do anything at that point. He had to assess the situation, see what was going on, be ready to then handle it, and then, play that card, because it was not kind to him in any sort of way. And unfortunately, that meant that in those 2 seconds, you either can do nothing, and cause the death of the person who is currently being stabbed.
Your job is to protect and serve.
Or
you have to protect the innocent in that.
Yeah, or you shoot the stabber.
Yeah.
Now, I would have understood a little better, right? If there was, let's say, it was a chase, right? If the girl was chasing the other one, right, and they had some room, maybe then the officer didn't have to fire. Maybe he could catch up, right?
Right.
Because the girl was heavier set, so hopefully a younger officer, hopefully in better shape, would have been able to catch up and maybe subdue the girl without having to use lethal force. No, that wasn't the situation, because what had occurred was that this girl was against a car. No longer was there an escape route for this person. They were against a car, getting bashed in by the girl with the knife, and literally being stabbed. And there are people out there who right now will say, no, the cop didn't have to do it. The cop could have shot in the air or fired a taser. Okay, here's the explanation of a taser. Ready? Here's why tasers are bad. First, it's no longer classified as non-lethal. Just pointing that one out. Second of all, you get one shot. And it's not good accuracy on those things.
No?
No, not really. That's why you'll find that sometimes cops will shoot somebody and there will be like barbs that go into people's spines and stuff, and they have to be surgically taken to the hospital, because if they take them out themselves, then it's possible that they cause paralysis. So in order to perform the duty of care, they have to respectfully say, hi, we can't not take you to the hospital at this point.
Right.
So like he had like 5 seconds to do something, man. And there's even fallout to NBC about this. So NBC originally aired the 911 call, and they only played like 4 seconds, right? That we need a police officer here now. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what they missed was the explanation by the caller about this girl who had a knife, who was endangering other people, and said, we need a police officer now, right? So they had to issue a apology after the fact because of their basically their intentional I get bias. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And let me see. They actually originally also allegedly had maybe also cut out parts of where you could see the knife.
That's really hard
video?
to. I mean, you could really poorly just Photoshop it out anyway with some.
Well, I think
blending.
there was like there was a combination with like the screen and like their Chiron.
They cropped it, didn't they? The pricks.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to see it on the original NBC thing. Not impossible, but hard. Yeah.
You shouldn't be doing things like that.
No, it's completely inappropriate, especially
it's unethical.
from NBC, right? Like
Very
NBC is supposed to
unethical.
be better, right? No, apparently not.
I'll be honest, in
Um,
the context of breach of ethics, it is at that point what they report fake news.
oh, without a doubt. Like what they reported was literally a lie.
I
Um,
hope they lose money for that.
oh, they won't. You know they won't because they did what the master asked, which was report this thing, don't make it look bad. Except for the cop. What's weird, what's really weird is how other blue check marks responded to this story in particular. Okay.
Oh.
So we had blue check marks on Twitter legitimately saying that children have knife fights. It's fine.
Okay. When I was a kid, I
I'm
had
gonna
a
find the tweet.
You find the tweet. When I was a kid, me and my friends did have some swords. Now, mine was the the Sword of Omens, from Thundercats. It was the plastic one with the light and the lion icon and the hilt. And my was it pommel? Doesn't hilt? Yes. My friend had the white Power Rangers sword. And,
Yes, I had that too. The one with the lion head on it.
yeah, and it sort of extended out a
Yeah.
little bit. We used to sword fight with these, but we were very gentle because we didn't want to break our swords. All right,
Well, yeah. It's
They were-
your toy, right?
and
You don't want to break
well,
it.
yeah, I grew up in the '90s as well. We didn't have them. We were poor. I got that from a car boot sale, and that sword was already busted. I repaired that with gaffer tape at the base just to keep the sword upright. So we were gentle. We always aimed nearer to the hilt so it didn't potentially damage it at the tip. It's one of those things. But no, we are not. I want a real lion. I want the sort of. I actually want a full size replica of the Sword of Omens. I'm not even kidding. I would love that. We would never. It's not something you naturally do. If that's the case, that explains all the knife crime in the United Kingdom. You've just fobbed off a violent crime just because you cannot be bothered to accept it as a crime was committed and the policeman had no choice. He has a duty to protect the innocent. It's his job. And he had to make a decision because they would not listen. The warning was issued and it was on the video. Therefore, you go down. Well, I'd rather you go to prison, of course. But he risks getting hurt as well. He has to subdue the person. With the knife, it's a tad tricky. Along with all the other people there thinking that he overreacted.
Now, okay, so I found the tweet, and it's from Bree Newsom, who is an activist, a film and actor, all that stuff.
Okay.
And here's what they said. Teenagers have been having fights, including fights involving knives, for eons. We do not need police to address these situations by showing up to the scene and using a weapon against one of the teenagers. Y'all need help. I mean that sincerely.
Who was this again?
Bree Newsom,
Lovely.
an activist.
You can tell they're an activist.
Oh,
This-
yes.
They're so blinded by their own beliefs, they refuse to accept a harsh fact. They committed a bloody crime, and they were subdued. While I don't agree with the shooting aspect, I can't condone it. The policeman had very little choice.
Well, it's not even for me, like, it's not even like, oh, they're blinded by their, the police had a very little choice. No. You intentionally wrote that. You lied. You lied. Who the fuck was like, yeah, teenagers have been having knife fights for eons? I'm like, what? Somebody has seen West Side Story, I think, one too many fucking times, dude. Like, no, the gangs of fucking of 14-year-olds at your local high school aren't snapping in the back of the fucking at the back of the playground, with switchblades and stilettos, about to run up on their local rival gang, dude. Like, in certain circumstances, yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
It's not usually a knife fight, though. It's usually a stabbing. But I hate to say it, it's more likely that you'll have a shooting between teenagers, actually. So I don't know why you went with that one. There's other terrible things that you could have mentioned, but you didn't because
Since,
reasons.
indeed, since this has all happened, I believe that police officer has been taken off frontline duty. Is that correct?
Hmm.
Do you think
Yeah.
anything will happen because of it?
Oh, they're trying really hard. And when I say they, I mean the people who don't like the cops are trying really hard to make something of it.
Right.
Um, they are finding it's kind of hard to do that when the police was probably in the right to do what he did.
Mm-hmm. I personally, by
Um,
the way, just for the sake of it, people might not like me saying this, I do believe that cop was in the right. He had very little option available to him on his own.
mhm.
A life is in
Yeah.
danger. You can't stand by and let
Not,
that
not
happen.
only not only was a life in danger, a life could have literally been taken in the seconds it took for him to make that decision.
Yeah.
Like it was so short of a window
Mm-hmm.
because she was not listening to the officer. I don't even think she acknowledged the officer was there.
I don't believe she did. I didn't see her turn at all until she was
No.
shot.
I want to also point out something completely irrelevant to the situation,
Go on.
but there is a tiny dog by the front wheel of the car who literally just sits there throughout the entire altercation, including gunfire, and then just walks away.
I like this dog already.
It's a tiny, like, chihuahua.
I like this dog already.
I saw that, like, as I was watching the video over, I was like, what the little dog? Hello?
Good dog.
Yes, good dog. Um, and, but back on track to the thing. Look, we have had a slew of stories about officer shootings lately. You also had, God, what was the kid who had the gun? Kid throws down, gun gets shot.
I don't know.
No, not Kyle Rittenhouse.
I was expecting someone to say that, but I
Oh, people have been comparing this whole situation to
are people still
Toledo,
talking
Adam
about
Toledo. Yeah, yeah,
people still talking about Carl
Adam Toledo.
Rittenhouse?
Yeah, they're bringing it up in reference to this situation right now because something about like he had a gun, he hurt people, but he didn't get shot by police, and we're like, no, that's shut up, you're stupid. The false equivalence.
It is a false
He turned
equivalence.
himself in after the fact. After he had a duty to, he had no duty to retreat. He retreated. Somebody assaulted him, and then he shot.
Mm-hmm.
But no, okay. So there's also this other situation with Adam Toledo in Chicago, where it's a 13-year-old kid, and he had a gun, and he literally had a gun in his hand. And when the cop told him, was basically after him, they were in a chase. The kid throws down the gun, and literally 2 seconds later, he gets shot. It's dark, and literally that 2 seconds of reaction, I think, was the issue. I can't say for certain how well this situation would have gone differently. Um, there is a video of that too. I haven't looked at it nearly as deeply as I have the Dante Wright or um, the Makia situation,
Yeah.
but the kid literally had the gun and threw it to the ground within seconds of being shot. Like I don't know what to do about that situation except to call it really fucking unfortunate. And why the fuck did somebody give that child a gun? Like whoever the adult was in the situation of that gang who basically said, ah, child, you will get out at 18 years old, you can take a fall for me, it's fine, you caused this child to die.
That's dark.
Yeah, well, I hope that they find out who fucking gave him a gun, and I hope they throw the book at them.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's unacceptable.
I
Literally no reason why any of that should have happened.
fully agreed.
But it's just the week of that story, though.
Yeah,
Like,
it's all spiraled, hasn't it?
it's been really depressing, actually.
It has, but I will admit, it's incredible how much of this has just been kicking up. I mean, I was thinking, oh, we'll have a little laugh at the whole UN electing Iran to the Commission on Human Rights, which I think we can all.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious. Women's
Um,
rights headed by who? Iran. Oh great, thanks.
The tweets I saw all over the place saying the U.S. House passed a bill to make D.C. the 51st state, which would be unconstitutional.
They are trying to do that, yeah.
It would be unconstitutional by definition. They'd have to move the White House.
Yep.
Or Psaki dodging reporters' questions when asked if Joe Biden's plans to address his role in if he planned to address his role in systemic racism while senator for more than 3 decades.
Oh, you knew the answer to that question was going to be no.
She dodged the question and cut them off. And the 51st state thing is just, yeah.
Well, you know why they're going for the 51st state argument. You know that. It's hey, look. Okay, DC comprised of mostly Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they're not entertaining like, Idaho or Oregon that wants to like break it apart and join Greater Idaho. No, they're not entertaining that thought. But hey, listen here, we want to make a DC a 51st state. Ironically, they're actually not going for Puerto Rico either. I think that's kind of weird because if anything, Puerto Rico, I'm going to argue, probably deserves it a little bit more.
Well, they do. And DC can't. It is unconstitutional.
Now, bear in mind, Puerto Rico is also heavily Democratic. However, Hispanics didn't vote by and large for Biden. I wonder if they're salty about that.
Right, so this idea of a 51st state apparently did get through the House. It surely doesn't get through the Senate. They're tied, I know, and then the VP breaks it up. But is this something Biden would want anyway?
Yeah, probably. Because right now, Biden is trying to push a lot of things. Let's talk about like the court packing thing, right? So Biden wants to increase the number of justices that currently sit on the Supreme Court.
Well, someone did point out that it needs to be 13 for all the districts, right?
So that was how it was done in, I think, 1870 or 1870 something. But that was also back in the era where they didn't necessarily, like, they had to travel, right? They had to go there. Like, that was why they expanded the court, because they needed people to be bodies at a location.
Right.
Like, you don't have that restriction anymore. So I don't think it stands on the same merit as it would back then.
Gotcha.
I mean, I get it that in precedent, yes, it did happen. I just don't think it has the same. It doesn't carry the same weight. You know what I mean?
Oh, and thank you, the like button, for the donation. Please consider hitting the like button if you are enjoying the stream. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Sponsored by Tango Eggs.
What now?
there's that.
Never mind. I don't want to know.
Huh. Yeah, you don't want to know.
But yeah, so if they expanded it to Washington D.C., then they get 2 more senators from a all blue fucking area, and then they also get the representatives in the House.
Yeah.
A really good way to secure your lead in a situation where you kind of feel as if the Democrats may lose the House in 2022. It would be really, really fortunate if you could push forward some bill that secured another few seats for yourself.
Well, I guess they need to secure those extra seats if they're going to push forward with Biden's corporate tax or capital gains tax, which that was fucking high.
Yeah, it basically equates to about 50% taxes on if you own and sell parts of the business. So large investors would basically be paying 50% of taxes on the company dividends and also the capital gains from those stocks.
In the UK, we had a similar system. For anyone earning over £150,000 a year, they roughly paid 50p for every pound they made over that amount. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh! Do you know how many people left the country because of that?
Oh, you would have so many people leave the country because of that. That is, like, if there's one thing you don't want to do in terms of your country's economy, don't fucking touch, like, the inner machinations of how the stock market works.
Don't fuck with the very people who got you there in the first place, because it wasn't the voters that chose you, remember, Joe? It was the bloody big businesses you're now threatening to tax.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez, it's such a stupid. It's a moot. It's him saying, "Well, I don't need you anymore."
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Actually, it's basically they're trying to, you know how fucking the Soviet Union had started, where they got all these people together and they organized so that they could take down the bourgeoisie, and then they culled all of those people.
Oh God, Lenin and all that. Yeah.
The Trotsky assassination and all that shit.
The Stalin
That's
stuff.
exactly what's happening, except without the death and more with the
long live the Bolsheviks.
The stranglehold on their finances, essentially. It's you must obey us because, and if you don't, here's what happens.
This all reeks of healing, Trups.
Oh yes, don't you know this is the most the country has healed ever?
You can tell. That's why you're being taxed so much. We've healed so much. You should all give over your tithes to the new God Emperor, Sleepy.
Alms. Give alms. For to a miserable woman. Sweeney Todd reference.
Okay, it took me a second.
Yeah, it's okay. But no, it's dumb. It's absolutely awful. And they're playing it off as if they are, taking from the rich and giving to the poor, very Robin Hood-esque. And I'm like, hey y'all, I know you say that trickle down economics doesn't matter and that and it's not relevant, but could you at least for a second pretend that it doesn't completely fail, and try not to tax all the job makers out of the fucking country?
I wouldn't be surprised if Amazon left.
We've already had some issues. We've already had some of the issues since Biden has gotten into power. Some of the what was it? It was fucking Ford was going to make a vehicle in I think it was Colorado, and they ended up moving it to Mexico because it was cheaper.
Not surprised.
You guys remember that whole America First policy and why they did it? I know you didn't care. You thought it was xenophobic, but you know what it actually did? It kept people's engineering and manufacturing jobs in this country because we are selling out our souls.
Hang on.
China.
That reminds me when people started questioning about that pipeline thing, and Biden responded by saying something to the effect of changing job markets and adapting to change. Oh, God, I don't remember the quote, and it annoys me, but it was something like that. And I get. By the way, I fully support a changing market, of course, but I also believe that changing market has to be available to your people, to make sure that your people, the people you are charged with serving, get those opportunities. The last thing you want to do is encourage companies to leave your country because they can no longer afford to operate in your country, meaning you'll be exporting instead at best, getting your tithes through customs. Are you
Yeah.
absolutely bonkers?
Well, that's the other possibility that I had considered. It was, okay, so what if we do this and we end up pissing off more people, right? Because we would likely end up creating a system that would basically base all of our funds and our ability would be through customs, really,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we would essentially just piss off everyone that we would be trading with, because we would be trading at such high volumes that no one would want to come. We would have to tax them so high that none of them would want to do business with us anymore.
They certainly won't want to do business with anyone that has capital gains taxes or anything like that as high
Mm-hmm.
as Biden is seeking to set it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought perhaps the reason why was to recoup some of the money spent on the COVID relief funds and all that. Then I'm
That would
like,
only be if they weren't trying to spend even more.
yeah, exactly.
uh,
I'm sorry, people dumped on Trump for his expenses or for what he's for his policy spending.
yeah.
Yeah, um, you're hypocrites now.
Oh yeah, totally.
Get help. That's all I've got.
Well, that's all right, because we are over.
Are we?
Um,
Nice.
Considerably. Well, a couple, 10 or
Nah,
so
it's
minutes.
just a few minutes.
10 or so minutes, but I think that we had productive conversations here, and I think that we were able to cover quite a bit of the absolute psychotic behaviors of my country.
I am glad that we didn't discuss any personal opinion on the Chauvin trial, because that itself is such a controversial thing to talk about.
Well, it's not only that, but like, it doesn't matter per se if I think that he's guilty or not.
No,
It doesn't matter.
doesn't matter.
What matters is everything else around it. Like, it matters much more that Biden gave his opinion, that Maxine Waters called for a confrontation.
Yeah.
Much more so than what I, a random YouTuber, think about, my understanding of the facts.
If he gets a diminished sentence, I mean, the sentence is he's looking at, I think it was 12 to life or something for one of those judges. If he on appeal is successful in either in reducing the sentence or getting out, it would entirely be the fault of the Democratic Party and not the system. But everyone will spin it as a failing of the system rather than taking responsibility for their own poor decisions. Maxine Waters, if he is able to get out on appeal because of you, it is your fault. And and by the way, I'm only saying this under the pretext that we believe him to be guilty. I don't have an opinion on this. I really don't. I'm genuinely, like Trups, more fascinated with what happened around it. Because what happened around it was almost delicious. Almost being kind of no
Keyword, yeah.
Yeah, it's something. All right,
It's certainly something, yes.
okay. Well, as we are done, thank you very much for joining us. I assume Trups does not have anything to shill yet.
No, I do not. But I do not have the GoFundMe open right now. But if you could, please donate to it. I'm going to reiterate that, just for my buddy here.
Thank you.
If you could do that, I would very much appreciate it. It would make me very
It
happy.
will be a pinned comment on YouTube in the description, comments down below. I'll put it there straight after the stream. I have nothing myself to shill. Oh, no, actually, you know what I do. On my, I have a channel called Moisky Reads. I do readings like H.P. Lovecraft and Poe, and I did a poem. It is there. I will link it also in the pinned comment. Please consider going and smashing the like button. I would appreciate it. Unless Trups is away next week.
I am not.
We shall be back here next Friday. Thank you all very much for joining. I'm glad you had a think. Hang on, the GoFundMe's still in the chat.
Oh, hang on. Let me click it real quick. Oh, we're almost there. We are $37 away.
Woot woot. Okay, thank you for joining. We'll see you next Friday. Say goodnight, Trups.
Good night, Trups.